Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is go ahead and do the hemline of it. And that is the reason why I said it is good to go ahead and iron it, so you already actually have the creases. So you can see the creases right there. And what you're going to do is fold it over 1/4 of an inch, and then fold that over to cover that up. This is so if you don't have a serger, you can't finish it or something like that. So there's the hemline. The sewing setting should be regular. Basically, once you turn it on, that should be good enough. So let's put that in there. Now we're going to stitch and then back stitch. This is the button for back stitch. This is like an extra security for it. Just to make sure it's in there real secure. So I'm actually going to show you a little bit of this, and then I will be back so you don't have to sit here and just watch me do this. I don't want you to get bored watching. So it's just basically just sew on that. You don't have to have your speed up as high as I do. I've been sewing for I think about 3 years now. So this is actually how I've gotten to. So I will be right back once I finish this to show you the next step. Alright, so I've finished the hem of the sleeve. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew these two pieces together. And what you need to do is put right sides together. Now we're going to put it under there, and I like to sew about 1/4 of an inch. So let's put the pressure foot down, stitch, back stitch, alright, back stitch, and there you have it. I'm going to turn it right side out. Okay, now this next step is the ruffle part. What you're going to do is you're going to set your space between each stitch to the furthest one, which on this machine it's a 5. And you're going to set the tension to about a 2, which I actually leave it around that space anyway when I am doing like pieces together and stuff. So how I do it is I start right here. Let me see if I can zoom in for you so you can see. I start right there at the stitch line right here, so that when it's time to tighten it up, it's actually easier. So what you're going to do is you're going to do 1/8 of an inch first, 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And I'll be right back once I finish this line. Okay, so we finished that part, so you can see. Now what you're going to do is you're going to move down about a fourth. So you can actually put the line that you stitched on the guide. It actually has guides at the bottom. So that's a fourth. Now on these, you do not want to backstitch. No backstitching. So move these strings out the way. Alright, then you're going to go all the way around with this as well. Alright, so we have that done. And so you can see the two lines. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull the two threads right there. So you can see really quick how it bunches up when you pull it. Now, don't pull it too hard, because this is actually what happened to me the first time when I started doing this. It'll break if you pull it too hard. So you do not want to pull it too hard. Now, grab to the both of those strings. I'm trying to keep it to where you can see how I'm doing it. I won't do it for too long, but just, you can, understand and get the gist of it. So, as you pull the string, you want to shuffle it down some. While I was doing this, I wanted to show you, when you get to a certain point on here, it might start to get tough as you're tightening it. So what I actually do is I go to the other side. This is the reason why you stopped when you were sewing in the middle. I go to the other side right there, and I do the exact same thing that I was doing on the other side, because it's easier that way. So you don't have to do so much on the other one, and then you may end up getting frustrated because it's not going anymore, or you make a mistake and you break the thread. But you see, now it looks like a little ruffle. Okay, so the next step is actually putting it on the shirt. We're going to measure it and, make sure that it's wide enough and things like that. And I'll show you how you can actually adjust all of these to fit the sleeve. Okay, so here's the sleeve. And as you see, when I took the thing off, it was already kind of like bunched up some. So what you do is you take this and you turn it like that. You measure up this point, so you can see this right here to this that you had sewn already. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull this inside of here. Now, it is really good to use pins to mark this, but with small things like these, since it's not much, I don't really use pins. Like, I've gotten comfortable enough to where I don't need them for the little things, but if I'm making a skirt or something, I make sure I use it, because none of that needs to be off whatsoever. And with little things like this, it's actually kind of hard to make it off. Well, best way I can say it, make it to where it's not lined up. But that's my opinion. If you're just starting out, I will advise you to use pins. And as you go on, if you get comfortable with not using any, then you do that. But as you can see right now, I'm actually adjusting what I put through and things. but I will actually be right back to show you how to stitch it all together. Okay, so I have got that finished. Now it's time to stitch. What you need to do is make sure you put that back where it's supposed to go. This one right here, that top one. And if you changed the tension or anything, that needs to be put back to what you usually sew at as well. Now, how I like to do it is I like to sew it from the top so I can see. I'm going to try to zoom in some. Between the two threads that we actually placed. So you're going to start stitching, and I'm actually going to start out slow so you can see. You stitch right there in between them. You're going to back stitch and then go stitch right in between the two lines that you've already had. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and I will be right back so you can see the finished of it. Okay, so I've actually finished it, and I wanted to show you all this. When you finish this, you can actually cut thread, which that's really what you need to do. Cut all the thread off, because you don't want it to look messy. All right. So as you can see, you have added the ruffle. Now what we need to do is we need to remove those basting stitches right there from when we did all that, and that's where the thread ripper comes in handy. So how I usually do it is I take that and I do like this, kind of loosen it up, and then you can actually jump a few and pull that right out, and you see it comes right out. Or one other thing that you can do is you can actually take the thread that you were pulling and just pull it as far as it can until it breaks. And you see, you've actually just avoided ripping all of that thread right there. And you can actually do it again, but sometimes this does not work if you have really thin fabric. I advise you not to do that because you can actually tear it. So that does not work with every type of fabric when you are making ruffles. So I will be right back once I finish removing all of this so we can look at how the shirt turns out.